we've obviously spoken about who did play. Very notable person who didn't was Mo Salah. First time he's been left out of the Premier League starting 11 by Arne Slot. I think it was the first time he left out since that game he had the Barney with Klopp.
If he speaks about it, there'll be fire.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. So let's speak about it. I was surprised he didn't come on, and it was a complete non-appearance from him. But as we've touched on earlier, Liverpool going to have to get used to that in a couple of weeks because he'll be off anyway. So it was a bit of a perfect chance to sort of tune up without him. Do you think this is the future now? Is going to be less of a guaranteed start for Mo Salah?
Well, this goes back to what I was saying just then. I mean, I don't think it's necessarily going to be the future now, but it will be the future in a couple of weeks, and it will be the future the season after next at the very latest, if something doesn't happen before then. Players can't go on forever. And while Salah hasn't been anywhere near the worst player for Liverpool this season, and there were a couple of games recently where he played really well. I think was it the Forest game where I thought he did reasonably okay, and certainly wasn't the one that you were lining up saying he needs to be dropped. Certainly wasn't great against PSV.
No.
Maybe he is just tired. Maybe he just needs a bit of a break, because you look at it and go, yeah, he's going to AFCON and you just need to replace him. But for him, it's like, yeah, he is going to AFCON. He is going there. And he's going there with an Egypt team that's probably thinking, right, we've got a chance of winning this.
Yeah, perhaps his last chance to win it.
Exactly, and that'll be part of his thinking as well. He's thinking, because he's a human being, and that's what happens. He'll be thinking of that. So Liverpool might get another 2-3 games out of him, and then he has to go. And while a couple of weeks ago I was saying you may as well just play him in all the games before he leaves, now it's obvious that he's not at his best form, and he quite clearly needed a break. And it's not just now, it's the second half of last season he was as good as the first half. So he's still an important player for Liverpool. Slot said after the game, he says he's going to be very important for us, and he's going to be, he's been outstanding for us for years, and he's still going to be outstanding in the future. But I don't think he's going to be any more one of the automatic choices for a number of reasons, one of them being that Liverpool can't afford to do that because he's not going to be there for possibly 8-9 games. And in the future, he's not somebody you're building a team around because he's coming towards the end of his career. That's just... that's life, and that's also something he'll have to get used to. And he probably might have a choice to make at the end of the season if he's not a regular, and go, I can have another season here where playing at the top level, I'll hopefully be playing in the Champions League, could be competing for honours in a team that you'd like to think is doing a bit better than it is now, or go off somewhere else. Saudi Arabia is the obvious next destination for him, and Liverpool could get some money for him, but that's a long way down the line. Now we're just looking at, we'll pick our teams in a bit for Sunderland, and no one in the world would be surprised if he ends up starting that game.
I mean, he's a 33-year-old player, 34 coming into the season. It shouldn't be a surprise, this. But
there's not many 33, 34-year-olds wingers who are playing all the time. That's just football. That's the game. That's the sport.
But we obviously we touched on the attackers and the impressive performances, the likes of Wirtz, Gakpo. Isak got a goal. Is there a link there? Was a lack of Salah perhaps helping them in a way?
Well, yes, it's sure. I mean, it didn't help Szoboszlai because
but it was the first game I thought he looked a bit leggy, which I didn't think he was capable of, but he did.
But I think that's also because he was asked to do a completely different job out on the right. And you say he looked leggy, but he was still the guy who got forward highest to win the ball for the second goal. So I don't necessarily think that. I think he was definitely playing within himself.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to provide a system. I mean, he's never going to go down the right wing and cross it in, ever. But when was the last time Salah did that to get to the byline? But Gomez did.
Yeah.
Gomez did a couple of times. So there's the difference. I almost don't even think Conor Bradley does that really, does he?
He more runs inside, doesn't he?
So another player, actually, to be fair, I thought Kirkes did really well.
Yeah, he did.
And that's the third game in a row now. I've been extremely critical of him at the start of the season and questioned, the adaptation period that he had, and I think he was trying too hard, wasn't he? And then his confidence took a hit. But it seems as though since the international break, he's just got his head down and went right. And Jarrod Bowen didn't really do much, did he? Kirkes, he was guilty probably in the first couple of weeks, I say, of trying too hard, of just going in and making these silly challenges and diving in and getting caught out of position. But he channeled that a lot better on Sunday, as he did. He was one of the better players against PSV. I know he slightly at fault for one of the goals, but that was purely because he was covering everybody else being hopeless. And he put a bit of a fight up against Forest, so he's definitely taken that left back role now ahead of Robertson. And again, because Robertson can't go on forever, because the way that he plays the game. And again, Robertson's another player who's had something else on his mind recently with trying to get Scotland to the World Cup, and that takes an emotional strain on you. When you consider that Kirkes was part of a Hungary team that didn't get to the playoffs, although, by all accounts, Hungary aren't very good.
No, but we've obviously spoken all season about these new players and they're needing time to adapt and things like that. I mean, when we spoke on Friday, I know we picked our teams, we put Robertson in, didn't we? Because we thought...
I initially didn't, and then you talked me into it.
Yeah, I've got a habit doing that. But we thought it was going to be a bit of a battling sort of day, and you want Andy Robertson kind of in the trenches. But actually, when you think about it now, to come through that game, it will be good for Kirkes, it will be good for Wirtz, it will be good for Isak, and these are the things that have to happen with the new signings in order for things to progress. So,
well, it was interesting that Kirkes got cramped, didn't he? Had to go off, and Slot mentioned after the game that he's still getting used to playing 3 games a week at that high intensity when he came into these 3 games off the back of the 2 games for Hungary. So I kind of, again, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play against Sunderland, for example. So we'll get into that eventually. But yeah, I think, again, little bit like Mamadashvili, and to be honest, a bit like Wirtz now, and Ekitike, you look at them and go, I'm not really worried about them if they start in a game. Still not there with Isak. Frimpong still not there, and obviously he's not Abbey played. So those 2 are players who still, I think, need to prove themselves capable of playing in this Liverpool team. I think the others kind of have already now.
This is the Blood Red podcast from the Liverpool Echo, giving you the inside track on all the big talking points from Anfield.